I walk on a razor's edge. Hunger bites at my heels. Its teeth click closed with every miss. I keep walking. My little ones cry. They have grown used to crying. I have not grown used to saying that. I never shall. Today I have been asked to do the unthinkable. I have been told there will be a chance to escape hunger, and I must not take it. I have been requested to sit down, watch my little ones play, and wait. They do play. Somehow they've found heart to play in the middle of trouble. I take some small comfort in their joy. I've not found reason to play in half a lifetime. This cold pit swallows every thought of it. What was fun isn't fun anymore. Hunger patrols in the dark, waiting for me to fall. Her bloodshot eyes often watch my children. My eyes catch hers when she looks away from them. We stare, waiting to see weakness. Today, when the sun reached its midpoint in the sky, it spared a few rays of light that baked the mud at the bottom of our pit. Steam rose off our backs, but we still shivered with the cold. A shadow flickered through the sunlight. I looked up to see a messenger circling overhead and floating down along the narrow walls of stone. He landed softly in the mud and stood for a long time without making a sound. I walked over to him and looked up into his face. He placed a gentle hand on the top of my head. I did not know what to think of his presence. We did not see messengers often. I have a friend, he said. He will be dropping in tonight. A friend? I asked. Yes, he said. A man. One who has been fighting as hard as you. Please give him some room. I just stared at the messenger. Did he have any idea what my family was going through? What he asked was unthinkable. Unthinkable. Yet I found myself nodding in agreement to his request. I expected no less of myself. He seemed to understand my thoughts. Food is coming soon, he assured me. Please trust a little while longer. The messenger rose where I could not follow. I did not watch him fly out of the pit. My trust was wearing thin. Hunger was circling closer, licking her teeth. She had backed my children into a corner. She had backed the other children of the tribe into a corner. Us older ones had stretched our vigilance to a breaking point. Hunger would be allowed to walk proudly among us tonight. We must stand by as a chance to kill her slipped from our grasp. The light of day quickly slipped away. It never lasted long in the pit. In my youth, I remember sunrises and sunsets. My children have never seen such things. When I was a little older than they are now, I was stolen from my family and enslaved in this place. The broad horizon of the sky was narrowed to a small circle of blue above my head. Why does the sky seem even farther out of reach today? The small circle of blue is still there, but the shadows have grown heavy over the stone walls. The shadows grow heavy over the bones of the old one. Hunger had jumped me on my first night in the pit. It was the old one who beat her off my back. She tended to my wounds and gave me my first meal. In the years that followed, other young captives came. I watched the old one be a generous leader to each one of us. She gave of herself until her very last breath. I remember watching over her when that last breath slipped through her teeth. I stood over her scarred and limp body as the others gathered round to pay their respects. The younger ones nudged her face, hoping to wake her. I did not drive them away. I waited for them to understand. It did not take long for them to begin to cry. Us older ones whimpered too. As the tears slowed, the eyes of my tribe eventually wandered from looking at the old one and came to rest on me. I did not understand at first, but they continued looking at me, sometimes casting fearful glances over to the shadow of hunger crouching beneath us, and then returning expectantly to look into my eyes. I knew what they were asking of me. I nodded in agreement. I expected no less of myself. The duties of the old one had come to rest on my head. That day her body lay at my feet, and today I stand over her bones. They are clean, just as her reputation was clean. Oh, why did they choose me? I am far less of a lion than her. Not long after I became leader of this pride, they gave me a name. Mud on the shoulders. That's how deep I've fallen to keep hunger at bay. That's how high the filth has risen on my reputation. Hunger is always ready to mock these failures. "Look what you've done," she whispered. "Look how low you've sunk just to escape me for a day. This day will be no different." I had to believe she was wrong. I had to. But deep down, I felt like she was right. Men feared us. Our touch was heavy on them. My family kept company with every man and woman that came down here in a somewhat less than soft manner. You and I both know," Hunger continued, "that when this messenger's friend drops in, you will do to him what you've always done." My family heard her words too. They looked at me expectantly, desperately. They still had power in their arms, but they wore a terrible thinness in their scarred faces, and I could see a good deal of their ribs. No one would blame us for beating back hunger tonight. They would say it was simply in our nature, simply the way we always had been. To kill and eat one more man was nothing, just one more man that fell into our pit. Our stomachs burn like fire. How heavy were this man's problems that he should get any softer treatment than us slaves in a filthy pit? How many days has he woken up to a warm home, a golden sunrise, and a good meal? Tonight, this man Daniel will drop down onto the bones of the old one, like so many that had come before him. Maybe he will be crying. Maybe he will be frozen with fear. Or maybe he will think like some that he has a chance of fighting. But it will end like it always has. My family, my pride, will surround him. We will take comfort from the death of one of our captors. We will fill our stomachs with a little justice. How sweet to go a day without hunger growling in our ears, without her making our children cry. How sweet, how sickly sweet. I could feel myself being pulled. The thought of eating felt so good, as flavorful as the act itself. Now that I let my thoughts be pulled, it felt like there was no stopping them. I would stand up and do exactly what felt good in the moment. But, of course, this wasn't true. I had a choice as to whether I opened my mouth or kept it closed. Each time it had been a choice, and it always would be a choice. I walk on a razor's edge. Hunger bites at my heels. Its teeth click closed with every miss. I keep walking, pacing. I've asked my family to be patient. I told them food will come soon, but we can't eat tonight. But am I being confident or just cocky? How dare I tell these dear ones to stay away from trouble when I'm struggling with it myself? There was a rustling overhead and the laughter of men. In the darkness, a man dropped down. He smelled good. What shall I do? Where shall I lead my pride? The man stood still, but not out of fear. There was a peaceful assurance on his face that no matter what happened, he would be all right. My face is the same as his, no matter what. No matter what. Let hunger's temptations be damned. I refuse to be named mud on the shoulders any longer. Here I stand, watching over a man whom I shall not eat. None shall touch him. He shall surely live.